Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive with yours truly.
And me as always.
Today, we're going to go on a journey back to the early days of Islam,
That's right.
and we're going to be exploring the life of a very fascinating figure.
Khalid ibn Ubadah.
He's a very interesting character.
Yeah, we're going to be using a lecture by Dr. Omar Suleiman as our guide.
Yeah.
And you know what I got to tell you guys up front?
What's that?
Take notes on this one.
Yeah, seriously.
Because
notes.
this is
It's an amazing story.
it's really good. So
Yeah.
just to kind of give you a taste, a little bit of a teaser here.
Sure.
Imagine Medina just as Islam is starting to really flourish.
Right.
And you meet Sa'd ibn Ubadah.
Okay.
Okay. This man
Yeah.
practically runs Medina's soup kitchen every single night.
Yeah, basically.
Like huge feasts for 80 people.
He was well known for that.
Regularly.
Just constantly feeding
I mean,
people.
that wasn't all.
Right. That was just one aspect of his generosity.
So that was one aspect of his generosity.
It's amazing.
It really is.
No, it's interesting.
Yeah.
And actually, Dr. Suleiman points this out,
Mm-hmm.
is that Saad's father
Uh-huh.
was known for generosity, too.
Right.
So it's almost like this family tradition,
Yeah, it's like a legacy of giving that was just passed down.
like a legacy of
Oh.
giving. Yeah.
Right.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
And, it makes you think about your own family, right?
absolutely.
Are there, like, any traits or values
Yeah.
that maybe have been passed down unknowingly
Yeah, for sure.
from generation to generation?
It's definitely something to consider.
That is.
You know, the values and actions of our ancestors, they can shape our own lives
Yeah.
in these really subtle ways.
In ways we don't even realize.
Right.
Now, returning to Saad,
Yeah.
his generosity, even before Islam, was legendary.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Think about, like, providing food during times of drought, welcoming travelers, writing off debts.
Yes.
Like, imagine him just standing on his rooftop every day,
Okay.
inviting anyone who wanted a good meal
Yeah.
to come to his house.
Yeah, to just come and eat.
And not like simple, handouts,
Yeah, right?
like proper nourishing meal.
Proper meals. Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty powerful.
Absolutely.
Really speaks a lot about his character.
Yeah, it does.
Clearly committed to taking care of his community in a very real, tangible way.
100%.
Now, this commitment,
Yeah.
it deepened when he embraced Islam.
Right.
He was actually one of 5 individuals
Yes.
who converted on the same day.
That's right.
And this small group had a huge impact on the spread of Islam in Medina.
Yeah. I mean, it's fascinating to think about how such a small group can spark a wildfire
Yeah.
of change.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we see similar patterns throughout history.
all the time.
Think about, like, the early Muslims in Mecca,
Yeah.
like a small, determined group.
Yeah.
They faced incredible adversity,
For sure.
yet they managed to change the course of history.
Completely.
It really makes you think about, like,
What does it make you think about?
the power of conviction
Okay. Yeah.
and the potential for just a small number of people
Right.
to make a difference.
To make a huge difference.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
And with Saad,
Mhm.
his conversion seemed to, like,
Amplified.
amplify his giving spirit even more.
Yeah.
He became like the heart of Medina's support system.
Yeah. It's like his generosity went into overdrive.
Overdrive.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just everyday people that
Yeah.
he helped.
Right.
Dr. Suleiman mentions that when Umar ibn al-Khattab,
Mm-hmm.
who would later become the caliph,
That's right.
first arrived in Medina, Saad hosted him
Yeah.
for 3 whole years.
3 years. Can you imagine the impact of that kind of hospitality, especially in those early days?
Especially back then, yeah,
Right.
when the Muslim community was still, trying to find its footing,
Yeah. Just getting established.
just getting established.
Yeah,
That's a beautiful example
it is.
of how even simple acts of generosity
Mm.
can have these huge ripple effects,
Absolutely.
right? Creating
Yeah.
bonds of community and support.
Exactly.
But what I find even more fascinating
Oh.
is this detail that Dr. Suleiman mentions about Saad's prayer.
Uh-huh. His dua.
He would actually make dua asking Allah
Yeah.
to keep him wealthy so he could continue giving.
That's powerful.
And he even acknowledged
Yeah.
that he might struggle with poverty if he didn't have the means to give.
Right. He was very aware of that possibility.
That speaks volumes
It does.
about his sincerity.
It really does. Yeah.
It wasn't about showing off his wealth or
Right.
gaining social status.
It was about a genuine desire to serve others.
A genuine desire to serve others.
Absolutely.
Makes you wonder,
It does.
what are the things that we hold on to out of fear of scarcity?
That's a great question.
Right.
Yeah.
And what could we achieve if we just let go of that fear
Right.
and embraced a spirit of abundance like Saad did?
Like Seera.
Yeah, that is a question worth pondering.
For sure.
And it's a great reminder
It is.
that our mindset,
Yeah.
our beliefs about abundance and scarcity,
Right.
they can really shape our actions and our impact on the world.
Big time. Yeah.
But let's get back to Saad.
Okay, let's get back to him.
Now, this wasn't just some abstract concept of giving for him.
Well,
It was deeply personal.
yeah.
He even extended his generosity to the Prophet Muhammad himself.
Yeah.
He would regularly bring food to the Prophet,
Regularly.
even following him to different homes with trays of food.
I love that image.
Isn't that nice?
I know.
And there's this amazing anecdote about a feast he prepared for the Prophet
Oh, yeah.
with delicacies from 40 different animals.
40. Can you imagine? I mean, can you even picture that? It's like something out of a fairy tale.
Seriously.
Yeah.
What strikes me, though, is not just the scale of his generosity,
Okay.
but the humility behind it.
Right. It wasn't about showing off or getting praised.
He just wanted to serve the Prophet and his community the
Right.
best way that he knew how.
In best way possible.
And the impact of this act,
Yeah.
it went far beyond that moment.
Right.
Dr. Suleiman points out that centuries later,
Centuries later.
the mother of Harun al-Rashid, a
Mhm.
powerful Abbasid caliph,
Right.
she was so moved by this story
Mm-hmm.
that she sought out Saad's descendants.
Yeah.
And she vowed to ensure they would never go hungry.
That is remarkable.
That is remarkable.
It really speaks to the power of genuine generosity.
It does.
How it ripples through generations,
Yeah.
inspiring others to give and creating this legacy of kindness.
Makes you wonder, what ripple effects will your acts of giving create?
It does make you think.
It really does.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's not forget
Yeah.
that Saad's generosity wasn't just about him.
Right.
It was a family affair.
Yeah, it was.
His son was known for being incredibly generous too,
Hell yes.
to the point that Saad actually got upset
Really?
because he wanted his son to give away more.
He wanted him to give away more.
I love that.
Isn't that great?
It's so funny,
I know.
but it shows how ingrained generosity was in their family culture.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's also a funny reminder
Yeah.
that even the most generous individuals have their own unique perspectives on giving.
That's right.
Now, Saad's story isn't just about generosity, though.
Right. It's more than that.
It's about a very complex individual
Yeah.
with a multifaceted personality,
A lot of layers to this guy.
a lot of layers.
Yeah.
He was also known for his strong sense of honor,
Yes, very much so.
and as Dr. Suleiman puts it, his jealousy.
His jealousy.
So tell me more about this side of Saad.
Okay, well, there's this story where the prophet was explaining the Islamic rulings on adultery.
Okay.
And Saad, in his typical straightforward manner, insisted on immediate action if something like that happened within his own family.
That's a strong reaction.
It is.
How do we kind of reconcile Saad's stance
Yeah,
with the Islamic emphasis on due process?
that's a great question. And it really requires us to step back
Yeah,
and consider the historical and cultural context.
for sure.
We can't impose our modern sensibilities
Yeah.
on a society that operated with a very different set of norms
Yeah.
and values.
Right. Of course, we're not condoning any form of violence or vigilante justice,
Of course not.
but it's important to acknowledge these complexities
Yes, it is.
and understand how individuals like Saad
Mm-hmm.
navigated the transition
Yeah,
from a pre-Islamic society
right.
to a society governed by Islamic law.
Exactly.
And this anecdote,
Yeah.
it reveals another layer of Saad's personality.
What's that?
This fierce loyalty and sense of honor, these
Mhm.
qualities,
Yeah.
combined with his generosity
Mm-hmm.
and his strong leadership,
Mm-hmm.
they made him a very formidable figure
Yeah, they did.
in the early Muslim community.
Very much so.
Speaking of leadership,
Yeah.
I'm curious to learn more about how Saad's leadership qualities
Okay.
manifested in the early days of Islam. Yeah, how did that work out?
So what did the sources tell us
Yo,
about his role as a leader?
for starters, Saad was appointed the leader of the Ansar army.
Okay.
The army made up of the people of Medina who embraced Islam,
Yeah.
and his influence extended beyond military matters.
Oh, wow.
There's this incident during the conquest of Mecca
Okay.
where Saad's call for revenge on the Meccans for their past treatment of the Muslims
Okay.
really upset Abu Sufyan.
I can imagine that didn't go over well.
Not very well.
Must have been a tense moment.
Very tense.
So the prophet,
Yeah.
in his wisdom,
Uh-huh.
intervened
Right.
and gave the banner to someone else.
Yeah, just to kind of diffuse the situation.
Diffusing the situation without diminishing Saad's leadership.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
It is.
How this incident kind of highlights both Saad's strong sense of justice and his willingness to defer to the Prophet's judgment.
Right.
It speaks to his character.
It does.
You know, he was a man of strong convictions.
But he also understood the importance of unity
Yes.
and following the guidance of the Prophet.
Absolutely.
And that brings us to a pivotal moment
Okay.
in early Islamic history,
What's that?
the passing of the Prophet
Right.
and the question of succession.
Yeah. Huge moment.
There's a time of great uncertainty
For sure.
and transition for the entire Muslim community.
A lot of anxiety at that time.
So what role did Sa'ad play
Yeah.
in this critical juncture?
Well, Ansar,
Yeah.
who held Sa'ad in very high regard, were on the verge of appointing him
Really?
as the caliph,
Wow.
the leader of the entire Muslim community.
That's a huge testament to the trust and respect that he commanded.
Absolutely.
But as we know,
Yeah.
it was Abu Bakr
Right.
who ultimately became the first caliph.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. But it wasn't without some delicate negotiations.
I bet.
This was a really fragile moment.
Yeah.
The Muslim community was grieving the loss of the Prophet.
Right.
There was a real possibility of division and conflict.
So how did Abu Bakr
Yeah.
manage to navigate this very sensitive situation
Okay.
and secure the support of the Ansar,
Well,
especially someone as influential as Sa'ad?
that's what we'll explore next time.
I can't wait.
It's a good one.
Stay tuned, everybody.
We'll be back. Welcome back to our deep dive into the life of Sa'ad ibn Ubadah.
Last time we left off at kind of this pivotal moment,
Yeah, we did.
the passing of the Prophet Muhammad
Mm-hmm.
and the Ansar's intention to appoint Sa'ad as the caliph.
Yeah, big moment in history.
Huge turning point
Uh-huh.
for the entire Muslim community.
It really was a delicate situation, to say the least.
Absolutely.
You've got the Ansar, the people of Medina, who welcomed the Prophet and the Muslims from Mecca,
Right.
and they felt that their sacrifices were paramount.
Right.
And then you have the indication from the Prophet that leadership should come from the Muhajirun, those who emigrated from Mecca with him.
Yeah.
It's like a family trying to decide who takes the reins after a great loss.
And in this case, the family is the entire nascent Muslim community.
Exactly.
The stakes were unbelievably high.
So high.
So how did Abu Bakr,
Yeah.
the man who ultimately became the first caliph,
Yes.
how did he approach this?
Well, he recognized the need for both swift action and delicate diplomacy.
Yeah.
So he, with Umar ibn al-Khattab by his side, went directly to Sa'ad and the Ansar
Wow.
and engaged them in a conversation that would shape the future of Islam.
Can you imagine being a fly on the wall during that discussion?
I know, right? What arguments were made?
What emotions were running high?
Oh, I'm sure it was intense.
Intense.
But what we know
Yeah.
is that Abu Bakr, with his characteristic wisdom and eloquence,
Uh-huh.
reminded everyone of the Prophet's guidance and the importance of maintaining unity.
Right.
He appealed to their shared faith, their love for the Prophet,
Mm.
and their commitment to building a strong and just society based on Islamic principles.
It's almost like he was weaving this tapestry of shared values,
I like that.
reminding them that their individual threads, while important,
Yeah.
were much stronger when interwoven into this collective whole.
Beautiful imagery.
So did Sa'ad just immediately step aside?
Not exactly.
Okay.
He had a deep sense of responsibility towards the Ansar.
Of course.
Remember, they had given so much,
They did.
opening their homes and their resources to the Muhajirun.
Right.
It was only natural for them to feel a sense of ownership and concern for the future of the community that they helped build.
Makes total sense.
It does.
So what was the turning point?
Okay.
What convinced Sa'ad and the Ansar to ultimately support Abu Bakr?
Well, according to the sources, Abu Bakr highlighted the importance of maintaining that lineage of leadership,
Okay.
as the Prophet had indicated, emphasizing the role of the Muhajirun in this regard.
Right.
But he also recognized the invaluable contributions of the Ansar,
Yeah.
acknowledging their sacrifices and assuring them of their continued importance in the community.
So it was a combination of factors.
It was.
A reminder of the Prophet's guidance.
Yeah.
A skilled appeal to unity.
Uh-huh.
And a genuine acknowledgement of the Ansar's contributions.
It was all of those things.
Wow.
It was really a masterful display of leadership, and it set the tone for how future successions would be handled
Kalsum.
by emphasizing consultation consensus
Right.
and a commitment to the broader well-being of the Muslim community.
powerful lesson in leadership.
It is.
It's not just about asserting your own authority,
Yeah.
but about bringing people together, bridging differences,
Right.
finding common ground.
Finding solutions together.
What about Saad, though?
Yeah.
How did he react to this outcome?
Well, true to his character,
Yeah.
Saad ultimately submitted to Abu Bakr's leadership and pledged his allegiance.
Wow.
He understood that personal aspirations had to take a backseat to the greater good of the community.
Testament to his humility
It is.
and his commitment to the principles of Islam.
Yeah. He could have easily allowed his ego to get in the way.
Right.
But instead, he chose unity and stability.
Amazing. And this decision speaks volumes
He does.
about the kind of leader he was.
What kind was he?
One who prioritized the well-being of the community
Yes.
above his own personal ambitions.
Powerful example for leaders of any era.
Absolutely. It reminds me of that saying.
What's that?
Leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge.
I love that.
Saad clearly embodied that spirit.
He did.
Now, shifting gears a bit,
Okay.
Dr. Suleiman mentions a rather poignant detail about Saad.
Oh, what's that?
He actually fell ill before the Prophet and missed his final days.
Oh, wow.
What can you tell us about this period?
Well, it's a heartbreaking detail considering their close bond.
Yeah.
Saad was in a region outside of Medina
Okay.
while the Prophet was in his home in the city.
Right.
Imagine the emotional turmoil for both of them,
I know.
knowing that their time together was limited.
It must have been incredibly difficult for them to be apart during such a critical time.
It must have been.
And for the community as well. To have their beloved prophet and one of their most respected leaders both battling illness.
It was a period of collective anxiety and uncertainty.
For sure.
But there's this powerful story Dr. Suleiman shares
Yeah.
about the Prophet visiting Saad during his illness.
Okay.
And he describes the Prophet weeping openly upon seeing Saad's condition.
Wow.
A display of emotion that deeply moved the companions who were present.
That's a very powerful image.
It is.
The prophet known for his strength and composure,
Right.
overcome with emotion at the sight of his friend's suffering.
It speaks to the depth of their connection,
Yeah.
the genuine love and compassion that they shared.
And it also challenges our perceptions of what it means to be strong.
Right, because true strength is not about suppressing our emotions.
Right.
It's about allowing ourselves to feel deeply, to empathize with others, to express our vulnerability.
It's a reminder that even the most extraordinary individuals experience moments of weakness and vulnerability.
That's true.
And it's those moments that often reveal the true depth of their character.
I agree.
What ultimately happened with Saad's illness, though?
Well, he recovered.
He did.
He did, while the Prophet's condition sadly worsened.
Right.
Saad eventually regained his health
Okay.
and lived to see the early years of Abu Bakr's caliphate.
It's a reminder that life is full of unexpected twists and turns.
It is.
And that even amidst hardship and loss, there can be moments of healing and renewal.
Beautiful reminder that hope and resilience
Yeah.
can coexist with grief and uncertainty.
Absolutely. But I'm curious,
Yeah.
what happened to Saad
Okay.
after the Prophet's passing
Mm-hmm.
and during Abu Bakr's caliphate? Did he continue to play like a prominent role
He did.
in the community?
He was instrumental in navigating a tense situation that arose
Right.
during Abu Bakr's time as caliph.
What happened?
Remember those undercurrents of tension we
Yeah.
discussed earlier?
Between the Muhajirun and the Ansar.
Yes.
Right, the Ansar, despite their support for Abu Bakr.
They were still grappling with their sense of sacrifice
Yeah.
and their anxieties about the future.
Exactly. And during Abu Bakr's caliphate, some concerns arose among the Ansar regarding the distribution of spoils of war.
Oh.
They felt that their sacrifices in establishing the Muslim community were being overlooked.
Understandable.
It is.
They had given up so much.
They had.
And it's natural for them to have felt a sense of ownership
Right.
over the community's resources.
Exactly. And Saad, being the leader and representative of the Ansar, found himself in a very difficult position.
I bet.
He had to balance his loyalty to his people with his commitment to the unity of the Muslim community.
Sounds like a classic leadership dilemma.
It is.
Advocating for your constituents
Yeah.
while also upholding the broader interests of the group.
Right.
So how did Saad handle this delicate situation?
Well, according to Dr. Suleiman,
Yeah.
Saad was very upfront with Abu Bakr,
Okay.
honestly conveying the feelings of discontent among the Ansar.
So he didn't shy away from expressing their concerns.
He didn't, even though it might have created some friction.
that speaks to his courage and integrity.
Absolutely.
He wasn't afraid to speak truth to power,
Not at all.
even when it was uncomfortable.
Yeah, he understood that true leadership involved representing the needs of his people
Right.
while also working towards a solution that benefited the entire community.
And Abu Bakr,
Yes.
known for his wisdom and fairness,
Uh-huh.
listened attentively to Sa'ad's concerns.
He did.
So how did Abu Bakr respond to these concerns?
Why?
Did he just dismiss them?
No.
Or did he try to find a compromise?
He chose the path of understanding and reconciliation.
Okay.
He gathered the Ansar and addressed them directly,
Okay.
acknowledging their invaluable contributions to Islam and assuring them that their sacrifices would never be forgotten.
So it was a combination of validation and reassurance.
It was.
Abu Bakr recognized the legitimacy of their feelings
Yeah.
while also reminding them of their shared purpose
Right.
and the importance of unity.
Exactly.
And this approach was so crucial
It was.
in maintaining that cohesion of the early Muslim community.
It prevented a potential rift
Yeah.
from widening.
So Sa'ad's willingness to voice the concerns of the Ansar,
Yes.
coupled with Abu Bakr's wisdom and compassion
Uh-huh.
in addressing those concerns,
Yeah.
prevented a potential rift.
He did.
It's a powerful example
It is.
of how open communication and empathy
Right.
can bridge differences and maintain unity,
Absolutely.
even in the face of really complex challenges.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story.
But ultimately, Sa'ad bin Ubadah's time on this earth was drawing to a close.
It was.
What can you tell us about his final days and his legacy?
Well, Saad passed away in the year 19 AH, a few years after the Prophet.
Okay.
But what's fascinating is how he's most remembered.
Yeah.
Not just for his leadership or his generosity,
Right.
but for something deeply personal, his relationship with his mother.
Okay. That's unexpected.
It is.
We haven't talked much about his family life.
No, we haven't.
Tell me more about this aspect of his story.
Well, that's what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll delve into the hadiths about Sa'ad and his mother.
I'm really interested to hear this.
It's really beautiful.
I can't wait.
And we'll unpack the profound lessons they offer about family legacy and the enduring power of human connection.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the life of Sa'ad ibn Ubadah.
It's been quite a journey,
It has.
hasn't it?
And,
Yeah.
we've seen him navigate all these major historical moments.
Right.
Like the spread of Islam in Medina,
Uh-huh.
the selection of the first caliph.
Yeah, all these major things.
Huge events.
Yeah.
But now we're going to shift focus
Okay.
to something
a little more personal.
more intimate.
Yeah.
His relationship with his mother.
His mother. Yeah, it's a fascinating aspect of his story.
I'm really curious to hear more about this.
Yeah, and it's often overlooked.
Is it?
Yeah, we tend to remember Sa'ad for his public persona.
Right. The leader.
The leader, the generous host, the warrior.
Right.
But these hadiths about his mother,
Yeah.
they reveal a different dimension of his character.
Okay, so what do these hadiths tell us
Okay.
about Sa'ad's relationship with his mother?
Well, for starters, they highlight his deep love and respect for her.
Okay.
There's this particularly moving story about Sa'ad learning of his mother's death while he was away on a military campaign.
Oh, wow.
Dr. Suleiman describes Sa'ad's just overwhelming grief,
I can imagine.
how he was inconsolable despite the attempts of his companions to comfort him.
It just speaks to the depth of their bond.
It really does.
It does. And it reminds us that even the strongest,
Yeah.
most stoic individuals are capable of experiencing profound grief
Absolutely.
and loss.
Yes.
But it's not just about his grief.
Right, there are other hadiths that
Yeah.
shed light on their relationship.
Okay.
For example, Saad's mother left everything to him in her will,
Wow.
demonstrating her complete trust in his generosity
That's huge.
and his commitment to using her wealth for good.
That's a powerful statement of trust.
Isn't it?
It really is.
It speaks volumes about the kind of son she knew him to be.
It does. And it also reveals something very interesting
What's that?
about Sa'ad's understanding of his own generosity.
Okay.
It wasn't just about giving away what he had.
Yeah.
It was about a responsibility, a duty to use his wealth
Yeah.
in a way that honored his mother's legacy
Mm-hmm.
and benefited others.
Yeah, it's almost like his generosity became even more meaningful.
Yeah.
Because it was intertwined with his love for his mother.
He wasn't just fulfilling her will.
Right.
He was carrying on her spirit of giving.
Exactly.
And,
Yeah.
there's another hadith
Okay.
that really brings this point home.
What's that?
Sa'ad goes to the Prophet, and he asks him about the best ways to honor his mother's memory.
Wow.
He inquired about giving charity on her behalf, fulfilling oaths she may have made,
Yeah.
even building a well in her name.
That's beautiful.
It shows his sincere desire
Yes.
to continue her legacy of good deeds, to ensure that she would be remembered
Right.
for her piety and compassion.
Such a powerful lesson for us all.
It really is.
You know, how can we honor the memory of our loved ones?
Yeah.
Not just through our words, but through actions
Right.
that reflect their values.
That reflect their values, their aspirations.
Yeah,
It's a question worth pondering.
it is.
And, it's a reminder that our legacy
Yeah.
isn't just about what we achieve in our own lifetime.
Right. It's about the impact we have on others.
It's about the impact we have on others.
The inspiration or provide the good deeds
Yeah,
that continue to ripple outwards long after we're gone.
I love that.
Yeah, Sa'ad's story, particularly these hadiths about his mother,
Yeah,
they provide such a beautiful illustration of that principle.
they do.
It's not just about grand gestures or
Yep.
monumental achievements.
It's about the everyday acts of kindness.
Exactly, the sincere expressions of love, the unwavering commitment to living a life of purpose and meaning.
And in Saad's case, that purpose
Yes.
was deeply intertwined.
It was faith.
His community
His family.
and his family.
Yeah, beautiful.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yes.
what can we learn
What can we take away?
from Sa'ad ibn Ubadah's extraordinary life?
Well, we've seen him navigate these complex political landscapes,
We have.
lead his people with courage and compassion,
Uh-huh.
demonstrate a level of generosity that has inspired generations.
It's really incredible.
It is, but
Yeah.
ultimately,
Yeah.
what resonates most deeply
Yeah.
is his humanity,
His humanity.
his capacity for love,
Yeah.
grief, loyalty, and his unwavering devotion to those he cared for.
Beautiful reminder that even those who achieve really great things
Yeah.
are at their core human beings,
We're all human.
with hearts that beat and souls that yearn for connection and meaning.
We're all in this together.
And on that note,
Yes.
to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this incredible journey
It's been a pleasure.
through the life of Sa'ad ibn Ubadah.
Yeah.
We hope you've gained
I hope so.
valuable insights and inspiration
Yeah.
from his story.
Me too.
Until next time,
Yes.
keep seeking knowledge,
Keep exploring.
keep exploring,
And keep diving deep
keep diving deep.
into the stories that shape our world
The stories that shape our world.
and inspire us to live more meaningful lives.
Absolutely.
Wow.
We'll see you next time.
Take care.